If you're not getting responses to your job applications here in Germany, then there is a high chance that your CV is not ATS friendly. This is the term that you may have heard so many times. In this video, I will explain what ATS is, how can you make an ATS friendly CV, what are some of the do's and don'ts here in Germany that employers usually recommend or expect from the CVs that they are seeing, and I will also share one ready to use template at the end of the video. So make sure you watch the complete video and understand each and every step, because it is very crucial for you to get at least shortlisted for the interviews, which is actually the whole ball game. So let's get started. First of all, we need to understand what does ATS means. ATS is applicant tracking software, which many companies use here, specifically those companies which have several hundreds of employees, and when they have a position opening, hundreds and thousands of people apply. So it's a huge workload for HR to go through each of the applicants to at least shortlist the candidates who are actually exactly fulfilling the criteria. So what does ATS do is it shortlists the candidates exactly according to the criteria of the job. For example, if a job requires 5+ years of experience in a specific field, so ATS will shortlist those people who have mentioned this specific thing in the CV. Now this is very important that your CV have mentioned that, and also that could be read by the ATS. So if you have more than 10-year experience but ATS could not read it, so you probably won't be shortlisted. So that's why ATS is very important, that it is the first non-human intervention that filters the candidates, and you want to be ensuring your CV is fulfilling those criteria that it does not even get overlooked. So what are the most important things that any ATS would usually look at it? So it's a computer software, and what it looks at is the simple layout, and it cannot read the graphics, it cannot read sometimes dual or 3 columns, or if you have made a complex column system in your CV, it looks very professional. There are graphs and everything. I have been designing CVs for years now, and I have seen clients, especially from Australia, they love to see this thing when they have the timelines in them. There are several different tiny graphic items in there that explains what you are, iconic system and everything, but here that doesn't work, especially if we are employing that ATS system. So you need to first of all use the very simple legible industry standard font that could be Arial, Times New Roman, or whatever is very common, Calibri maybe, but nothing fancy, nothing which is out of the way to show your creativity there. You can show your creativity to make everything simple and easy to understand for everyone, especially the Lord ATS software. And then the most common question that I always get is like how long the CV should be. Well, to understand this thing, there is no one packed formula for this. If you are an early professional, if you are a student, then definitely your CV of 3 pages doesn't make sense. But if you are a 10 years plus working professional, then it makes sense to add your recent or your achievements and projects and vast experience that you have, certifications that you have done in 10 years that cannot be compressed into one page. If it can be, then it's marvelous, but if usually it cannot be, so your CV of 2 pages makes perfectly sense. But if you are applying for an entry level position where they do not ask so many things, and sometimes they can also think that this person is overqualified, so you don't need to make that CV long. So it's very personal, and it is a subjective topic that how long your CV should be. The golden rule is if you are a entry level person, your CV should be 1 page, and if you are a highly professional person, your CV could be 2 pages. I've seen CVs even 5 to 6 pages long. They make sense. They have 20 years of experience and everything, so they need to mention all those things. The third thing that you need to understand about applicant tracking system, applicant tracking software, is that it works on the basis of keywords as well. For example, if a company is looking for a person experienced in Power BI dashboard, so they will mention in that in their uh, job description, we need a person who can build these dashboards and blah blah blah, whatever those things are. And then the ATS software is going to look for the people who have that experience. If there is a person who is very well qualified in all of these things, maybe something better, more, and is in data analytics and everything, but that person doesn't have mention anything related to Power BI dashboards in their CV, so that CV probably will be filtered and it will not reach the HR. So you need to target your job descriptions very well and pick up the main keywords, and you have to add them in your CV. And most of the people that I tell these things, what they do is that they bombard their CV with a bunch of different keywords without making sense. Sometimes 3 4 same keywords appearing in their description, and then in their education, then nothing in the whole CV, and then at the end in their project or something like that. If you're targeting one specific job and it has specific requirement, make sure you do not bombard the keywords in the whole CV. But if you're using 4, they should be used in a uniform pattern. It should not be on the only top or in the middle or in the end, because this is not what the software can understand. Software looks at whole page at once, and then it tracks like this person has this whole experience in this whole CV. This is very important to understand. And if there are 3 to 4 keywords that you want to mention, then you can probably also sprinkle them across your CV. One probably in your CV header, then in your education, then your experience, or maybe in a project or something like that. But do not just jumble them up. And the biggest blunder would be to not use them at all. That is then the another debate that is very common, and I hear a lot of these questions, and I see lots and lots of people talking about it, and that is whether should we include our photo in our CV or not. It's not a legal requirement. Nobody is going to ask you to attach a photo. However, usually employers, what I have seen is that they want to see a person before meeting them, and it's very normal here to add a photo. But usually what I have seen, the newcomers, the main mistake that they do is that they add a photo which is not very professional for the CVs. Professional doesn't mean that they are not in a well-dressed system. You can wear a tie or anything, and if you make a very sad face, or if it looks like your passport or identity photo, then it doesn't work well. This photo needs to be with your teeth smiling. I have said this thing so many times in so many videos, but this needs to be reiterated so many times. Make sure your photo is well lit, not very funky background, very normal background, and it should be with your teeth showing, with you in a smiling mode, you showing a positivity. This is what employers usually expect from everyone. And all the photos that I see in the teams of Microsoft Teams of my company, or everywhere I see the good looking CVs, they have those photos. If you do not have this photo, maybe make one if you really want to add. Or if you cannot add something like that, then maybe just skip it at all. It doesn't matter so much. Like if you have right qualifications and skills, then this one thing is not gonna you know kill your chances. And then I want to talk about there are certain things that are not supposed to be added. So it's very important to understand what to be added in the CV, but you also need to understand what are the things that must be removed. Always, whenever you're making CV, make sure that you are rereading it, editing it with this thing in mind, that is this thing really necessary here? Is it gonna take extra real estate or space on my page, or is it very important? If it's not important, just skip it. And if it's important, only then add it. I have seen CVs where people have mentioned that Hindi is there, they can speak Hindi or Urdu or Yoruba or Punjabi or so many other languages which are not required in the job description, and you are just adding them. If they are required for the job, then probably you can add, but if they are not, then you don't need to add them. And then there are people who do not even mention their German language skills. It's very important. If you are in Germany, probably your level is somewhat A1. At least mention that your German language is A1. You can say hello, wie geht, something like that. That's very important. Just mentioning German or skipping this thing is a huge red flag, so don't do that. And then there are certain other things that you can skip. For example, your marital status, your hobbies and your references that are to be represented on requirement or something like that, anything which is not very important must be removed. This is a very important step, because in ATS they scan all of this thing. If they somehow, that software somehow scans that so many extra things, there is a high chance that your CV will be filtered. Now finally, let's talk about the CV template that I'm going to share. I hope you have watched the video and understood all of the concepts. I do not recommend using Microsoft Word for making the CV. I always say that you must use LaTeX. If you don't know LaTeX, it's a typesetting system, and there you don't have to actually set the margins and everything, like drag and everything. It's like a bit of a coding, but it's very easy to understand. I will share the LaTeX file in the comment section. You can download it from there, and then I will also share how to use it. You can basically go on to the Overleaf website and load this there, and then wherever the names are mentioned or the generic text is mentioned, you can replace it with your text and then export it as a PDF. It's very easy, no margins, nothing will be out of the order, and everything will look good, and you can always come and change as many times as you want. And if you use this, I am sure that your chances for getting shortlisted for the interview will definitely increase.